Everyone, welcome back. It is the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Beaton, joined by the Fantasy Master Lothario himself, Gray Albright. How's it going over there, Gray?
Hey, good, man. Also, not only a Fantasy Master Lothario, but also number one on Fantasy Pros for baseball draft rankings 2023 through 2025. I don't know if did you happen to see that?
I did not see that, Gray. Is that accurate?
You didn't? Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, yeah. It's accurate. I thought maybe you might have saw it. That makes me number one for last, however many years that is. You know what? That's actually a good jumping off point. The guy who is number one for fantasy baseball draft rankings from 2023 through 2025 doesn't know how many years 2023 to 2025 is.
It's not important. Math's not important in that. Why do you need math for anything in this game, Gray?
Guy who doesn't understand how to count 3 years is the number one fantasy baseball draft ranker. just so people are aware of it. Since you didn't see it, I feel like I don't want to have to break the news to you, but I think you came 35th out of 35 people. It's okay. You know what? Anyone could possibly have their computer upside down and be like, I think Beaton's number one. It's possible. I mean, it's possible. Sometimes people flip their computers upside down by accident. They're like, I didn't even realize my computer is upside down and it looks like Beaton's number one here. Is that true? I think it is.
Hey, I haven't seen it. I can't defend myself, Gray.
It's all right. Whatever. You know what? Who cares?
I can't help that Matt McClanahan bomb just out completely. That's my bad. That's totally my bad.
In 2023, Beaton decided to rank Matt McClanahan number one and hasn't moved from that position. He was like, you know what? He's going to be better than Ohtani one of these years, and I'm going to be the only one who knows it.
Yeah, and Ellie, both of us having Ellie in the top 3 or 4. That probably wasn't either. But let's move on, Gray. What else happened this week? I guess not even this week, but since we've talked, there've been a bunch of injuries, Gray. That's pretty much all.
It's so weird, though. It's kind of weird that we've for the first time we've finished positional rankings before the season. So it's like we have a podcast where we could talk about other things, or we could talk about catcher rankings for the next 2 hours again.
We redo it, just start over, see where we end up in the fallout. We can do my rankings, Gray. We'll do my rankings, and you can just rip me apart for each one that I have, and then we'll just go back and forth that way. It'll be really fun for the audience to do that for 2 hours again.
It's cool, man. It's fun to be done with the positional rankings and being able to just chat, do an old school chatteroo, talk about some injuries and whatnot. You want to do that? Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm sure this won't go terribly since this is our first real non-directly formatted podcast in a year. Well, we're going to do great, Gray. This is going to be phenomenal. It definitely won't go an hour and 45 minutes for no reason. I don't know what a hamate bone is, Gray, but I'm really glad that I didn't get an injury this spring, because I think it's kind of like the cold. I think it just passes from person to person randomly. Because it's been all over the place.
I believe it's the hamate bone, and it's not a bone that is made at home. It's not a homemade bone. if that's what you called it. It's a hamate bone, I believe. Hamate.
Yep.
Hamate, yeah.
Yeah. So Lindor, Corbin Carroll, Jackson Holiday, all with hamate bone injuries in like a 24-hour period, it was reported. That's great. We can just start over our top 20 podcast here with Corbin Carroll and Francisco Lindor. What are your thoughts before we get into them individually and in general with hamate bone injuries? Are you worried about people coming back? It may affect a little bit of power. What are your thoughts?
So I think I think it was Max Muncy who broke his hamate bone, like I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, and he returned and he was like Barry Bonds with Max Muncy's glasses from last year. It was like he was like the best slugger of all time when he returned from the hamate bone. I think it was Max Muncy. It was someone returned and they were so good with right after their broken hamate bone. So I can pretend that's what's going to happen here. I could do a little pretend, a little fan fiction, because in the one league that I have that I've drafted so far, I drafted Francisco Lindor my first pick. So I do a little fan fiction, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been well documented that the hamate bone injury causes hitters to lose power for a little bit after they return. They usually come back at about 80 to 85% of power and then slowly regain that. It's every hitter is different, so it's not like Lindor and Corbin Carroll and Jackson Holliday are all going to have exactly 80 to 85% of their power, but according to people who know about injuries more than I do, the hamate bone causes hitters to lose power, for a certain extent. And then slowly they gain it back. And hopefully Lindor only needs 3 days to gain it back, because I really kind of need him in that one league. It wasn't great. It wasn't great that, the only league I drafted Lindor. But yeah, I could have took Gunnar Henderson and had him repeat last year. So I guess it's not all bad. Yeah, I for Lindor. So Lindor, I re-ranked. Honestly, I re-rank every day, just about, depending on the news. So I re-ranked all these guys after the news of their injury came out. Lindor, I moved down to out of the top 20 overall. I had him, I believe I had him at like, I want to say 10 overall, and I moved him down to 28 overall. I think I would still draft him because he does give some some value with his speed. So I don't think he's going to be a complete bust just because of the hamate bone, but it is a bit of a concern, man. If the injury ends up zapping some of his power, it wasn't like he had a ton of power to spare. So yeah, I mean, I don't love it. I'll be honest. I think I would take him though at between 25 and 35 overall. I think that's fair. I think his new projections, I have him as roughly a 26, 22 player missing, I think, 2 weeks. So 26 homers still, which is, I think I want to say I had him at 32 homers. So I took more than 2 weeks worth of power away from him. So I deducted, I want to say roughly 5 to 6 homers from his projections. But only took I want to say 60 at bats, maybe I took off of his line overall. He is still, he's still going at 21 to 22 ADP as of the last The last 3 weeks of his ADP have him at 21. I want to say that is roughly after his hamate bone. I'm not 100% sure. It's like, it's a small sample size on post hamate bone for him. If I do the last week of ADP, he's at 25 overall. And like I mentioned, I have him at 28 overall. So, in line, I guess, with where people moved him to. I still would take him, but obviously he's more of a second or third round pick versus the first that I thought he was. And Corbin Carroll, on the other hand, I moved Corbin Carroll to 18 overall. Also, I subtracted the same of 60 at bats ish, and or maybe 50 at bats, and roughly 2 weeks worth of bats, worth of stats. I have him down. He was, I believe, I had Corbin Carroll at 30 homers projection wise, and now I have him at 24. So I deducted 6 homers off of his line. I think Corbin Carroll, I have him at 18, like I mentioned. He's currently going in the 15 to 20 overall range. I think with Corbin Carroll, I'm a little bit more optimistic, as most people are, because of the speed that he brings. So, if he loses 5 to 6 homers off of his line, there's still the speed there. There's still the potential for 40 to 50 steals. Not that I haven't projected for that many, but there is still the chance that he could steal 40 to 50 steals. So I think he's probably, a little bit closer to, he's closer to like a mid second round pick now, which is, both of these guys, with caveats, I would still draft them. And Jackson Holliday, I believe I had him at around 120 overall, 110 to 120 overall. I believe I had him at, and I dropped him to roughly 170, and his ADP is at 180. And he probably, not like he was already a bit of a wild card on power as it was. And now you throw in the hamate bone injury. So he's definitely more like he's a flyer for an MI, at the back end of like a 12-team mixed league, like 100 and after 170 overall, you're sort of just taking flyers on guys that you could potentially drop. Jackson Holliday is, I like him still, and I would draft him, but he's obviously got way more risk now. And he also, he wasn't hitting, he didn't really hit the ball hard to begin with. And the hamate bone, like it could be, we might not see Jackson Holliday really until 2027, potentially. And this doesn't help, obviously. So I don't love it, but I would still draft him because of where he's going, which is, fairly late.
Yeah, I actually had the WHARF draft, which is part of the Earth leagues, this weekend, and I took him at 176. And he was, there was middle infield run a little bit right in front of me. He's kind of the last of the group. Would you rather have him or Bryson Stott?
With Bryson Stott, the issue with him, I don't mind Bryson Stott. I have them very close. I have them basically a toss up in the rankings. I have Holliday 2 spots overall in front of him. But it's kind of like, I feel like it probably is a little bit of like, what do you need at that point in the draft? Because I think Stott has a little bit more speed. But, with all that said, yeah, I would take Jackson Holliday because of the upside. And I also worry a little bit. Bryson Stott is whatchamacallit. He could be in a platoon potentially and hitting towards the bottom of the order. And Jackson Holliday is, he probably is still going to hit leadoff when he returns. So, yeah, I'd take Holliday over Stott, but they're very close.
Yeah, batting order was ultimately my deciding factor there. For Lindor, would you like him or $350 million man Jazz Chisholm? Sorry, Carroll. Let's go with Carroll. Sorry, not Lindor. Carroll or Jazz.
Jazz Chisholm Jr., by the way, in my rankings, I talk about how he's going to have a career year because if anyone's going to have a contract year, it's going to be Jazz Chisholm Jr. And he's already said he was going 50-50. So I'm all in, baby. It's me and Jazz Chisholm. A contract year, train, chew. You know what I'm saying? I'm in. Jazz Chisholm Jr. is in front of Lindor for me. Corbin Carroll is also in front of Lindor.
Okay, what about Carroll and Jazz?
Carroll's in front of Jazz for me.
Okay. And what about, I'm just gonna randomly pick another name here from that area that we've seen Lindor go. See if I can find somebody you won't take. Trey Turner. Would you rather have Trey Turner or Lindor at this point?
Lindor, but close.
Okay. So that's probably the line then, somewhere between Jazz and Turner. That's a pretty small gap in the.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like if you just go off of projections, right? So you say Lindor, 26 homers, 22 steals. Trey Turner, 16 homers, 25 steals. That is a little bit in Lindor's favor. Trey Turner obviously is going to hit for a little bit better average, but I mean, just because Lindor is going to miss 2 weeks to start the season doesn't mean Trey Turner is not going to miss sometime at some point either. So, yeah, Lindor a little bit in front of Trey Turner, but very close.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I guess the one point in Trey Turner's favor is if one of these players is going to go off for a large amount of anything, it's going to be Trey Turner and stolen bases because that's the only, I think among these two, neither of them is going to have a 35 home run season at this point. I think we're just hoping Lindor stays at kind of the 26 to 30 range. But if that falls off to, 20, that becomes a problem. I don't think it's going to fall off that bad, but I'm more worried about the average, I think, at this point. Just if the hand doesn't quite heal and he can't hit for the power, I think he can still hit home runs, but I think the average may fall if there's a little more fly balls instead of line drives or hard hit line balls.
Right. Yeah, no, totally. Where did who did you get in the earlier in your WHARF draft, whatever it's called? What does that stand for? Anyway, what is that nonsense?
The Waffle House area something.
Okay, I'm sorry I asked. So in that draft though, who was your first two picks?
Soto and Alonso.
Oh, so you didn't even have to tackle any of these issues.
No, I just avoided. I mean, they didn't even fall to me, so it really wasn't an issue.
Gotcha.
And I'm perfectly happy with that. I grabbed speed later. Like I said, I did get Holliday as my primary second baseman, but I grabbed Brandon Lowe a couple rounds later, who I think I have right next to Holliday. So I'll have those two as my second and middle infield eventually. So that's fine with me.
And you know what? It's fine with me too.
On the results side, Gray, I looked up some names. Some people have returned just fine. Stanton, Jose Ramirez, Matt Olson, I think is the guy you were thinking of, who came back and just went gangbusters.
Yeah, Matt Olson, that's right. Oh my God, totally. Yeah, Matt Olson was he got a hamate bone removed and he got a PEDS needle put in his hand that releases. Those things that you press a button and it releases into your bloodstream. Maybe that's a thing I just made up in my head.
No, I think that's a thing, Gray, and I think he needs it back. Whatever he had, he needs to get that.
Oh my God, Matt Olson needs to break his hamate bone every year. That's what I'm saying. I want to say he broke his hamate bone on Tuesday, and on Thursday he was hitting home runs again. It was something crazy like that. It was like, oh my God, this guy's out of his mind.
Apparently they just pull it out, Gray. They usually don't do surgery. They just yank it out because you don't necessarily need it.
Oh, it's like a wishbone on a turkey.
Yeah, kind of, I think.
Yeah. Or is that a chicken? Wait, where's the
I'm not even going to try and get into poultry bone discussions here. I have no idea. But on the fish side, Trout did return at the end of one season. He played one game and then was done for the season. But that's the Angels.
Oh, wow. So that stinks.
But that's the Angels. So, like, it's not like he's returning for a playoff push. Like, if he feels anything in his hand, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to pack it up, guys. We're good.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's it. Yeah, Matt Olson. Oh, wow, I totally forgot about that. For some reason I was thinking Max Muncy, but it was Matt Olson. You're totally right. Oh man, thank you, Beat On.
Yeah, every now and then the research and notes pay off, Gray. Every now and then.
I like my favorite part of the researching notes is like when I go off for like 5 minutes and I'm totally wrong and you just let me say it. And then you come on later and you're like, oh, by the way, it was Matt Olson. So you're going to sound like an idiot like 10 minutes ago.
I can't jump in. I can't jump in while you're talking. That doesn't exist, Gray. There's not even like a long enough breath pause for me to jump in. So sometimes you just got to let you go. It's kind of a wind-up toy situation until it stops moving and the wind-up is gone. You gotta let it go. There's no stopping.
That's my favorite part of the podcast. When I go on a rant that is totally wrong.
I think our audience really enjoys it too. So I'm just gonna keep doing that since everybody seems to equally enjoy that part of the podcast. something we don't enjoy.
Some people might be like become self-conscious and be like, I better really pull back a little bit, but not Gray Albright.
Never Gray Albright, nor would he actually just look down at the notes and maybe be like, there's a list of names. Maybe it's one of these guys that Beat On actually spent time researching. But no, that also doesn't happen. There are no lessons learned, no changes made. We are who we are in this podcast, Gray.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I am the number one ranker from 2023 to 2025. So
I don't believe I'm last because I know there's got to be more than 32 of us ranking for baseball. I hope because there's only 32 of us ranking. Then why am I only like 100 and like I still have 2,000?
Actually, there's 32 people ranking for fantasy baseball, and you came in 35th. Don't ask me how. I don't know, man. I didn't do the ranking of the rankers. You know what I'm saying?
There will be research done, and if it's wrong, I will come back next podcast to let you know. So you milk this as much as you want, Gray. Something that is pretty normal is Jordan Westburg getting injured, and it happened again. He has a partially torn UCL. He's out at least until the end of April, and probably returns to DH at least initially, if not long term, in Baltimore for this season. How are you feeling about drafting Jordan Westburg right now?
Well, not great. That's kind of how I feel. So through April is like, I mean, I don't know. It's like there's levels to where I think there's like in a 12-team mixed league, right? If a guy is out through April and you have an IL slot, then you draft him at like 250 overall, which is roughly, a round or two before the end of your draft in a 12-team mixed league. And if you're in a 15-team mixed league, you draft them a round or two before the end of your draft, which is, roughly around pick 400. So it's like you're just taking a flyer at this point. What I expect with Westburg is we're going to get to April, end of April, and it's going to be like, the PRPs didn't stick, and I'm going for Tommy John surgery. That's sort of my guess as to what's going to go on. I as far as my rankings go, I dropped him down to 400 overall, and I put him down for 250 at bats, which is a lot less than if he returns at the end of April, because I really don't think he's going to return at the end of April. So I have him down for basically a half season worth of stats. I don't really expect to see him, but like I said, with that said, if you're in a 12-team mixed league and you have an IL slot, just take a flyer at the end of your draft and see maybe if he returns at the end of April and he's able to do something. But I really doubt it. I mean, he's been struggling now for, going on like almost a year and a half of injuries. And I've lost faith, basically. So you can take a flyer. I would expect nothing.
Yeah, I don't really expect much there either. It's worth a gamble, like you said, if he's sitting around and you're looking around and you're basically to a point where you're like, I don't really like anybody left. I'll go ahead and take Jordan Westburg. I think that's pretty much where you should grab him. Let's talk about him with somebody who got signed, Gray, after we talked about his position, and that is Luis Rengifo. My must avoid from last year is going to Milwaukee, which makes him at least a little bit more interesting, right? Would you take him, or would you rather have the shot on Jordan Westburg? And let's start with a 12-team league with a medium-sized bench, so like 5 to 7.
You're baiting me now with Rengifo. You just want me to say Rengifo is going to be good.
Hey, we had to talk about him. He signed. We might as well talk about him now.
You just want me to say, oh yeah, Rengifo is great, because I was saying it last year. You're baiting me. I mean, I wouldn't draft Rengifo in a 12-team mixed league. I think he's outside of that. I have him ranked at 340 overall. His ADP is roughly 400. I wouldn't draft him in a 12-team mixed league. I would draft someone else. Like if I was in a 12-team mixed league and I was looking at bench guys, I would go upside with like a Jet Williams or a middle reliever with like a Garrett Clevenger, or maybe Tyler O'Neill or so. I would do something else with my bench spot. I wouldn't take a flyer on Rengifo in a 12-team, because you can just pick him up off of waivers in most 12-team mixed leagues if he gets hot. In a 15-team mixed league, I probably would draft him. Sadly, I must say I would draft Rengifo. I mean, it wouldn't be an ideal situation. I don't want him as my starting second baseman or third baseman, obviously. But if you're in a deep league, a 15-team mixed league, and you need an MI or a CI, and you're like looking for a more than likely, because he's going at 400 overall, so more than likely you're looking at a guy who's going to be like, you already have your team, and you're looking at bench guys as potential like depth fillers. And Rengifo is a solid depth filler because he probably will get at bats in Milwaukee. And he has, second and third base eligibility, which means he's eligible for MI and CI, which is very helpful for a deep league. So, yeah, in a deep league, at 400 overall, sure. Wouldn't do a 12-team league. I don't really, I have him down for, roughly 400 at bats and 7 homers and 12 steals and a 246 average. So, not great.
No, it's not. And like you said, it could just end up in him not coming back. So that's definitely a risk you run, is you just carry him on the IL and he never comes back. Would you rather have him, or I'm going to move up the ADP a bit, him or Marcus Semien?
I would go Semien, yeah.
Okay, him or Gleiber?
Oh, Gleiber, yeah.
Him or Luis Arraez?
Yeah, Luis Arraez, yeah.
Brendan Donovan.
Brandon Donovan. Yeah. Brandon Donovan. Yeah. I would take Donovan. And these are really terrible choices.
We're getting further and further down. I mean, we've gone down almost halfway to where we were to pick the names to begin with. Willie Castro in Colorado.
Yeah, I would go Willie Castro.
Matt Shaw, who doesn't have playing time.
No, Matt Shaw is a very specific case example where it's like if you need a flyer with upside for your bench, then go Matt Shaw. But he has no at bats as of right now, and I don't foresee like a ton of at bats coming. So yeah, Matt Shaw is like if you want a flyer on a guy, then sure. But Matt Shaw is after Rengifo as far as at bats go.
Okay, so we found the line then. At least we've kind of figured out where everybody belongs in this gigantic mass of terrible middle infielders and third baseman. Quite honestly, at the end of drafts. But yeah, I mean, I think it's somewhere based on where you said. I don't know where you said you had them really far down. It sounds like it, at least from NFBC ADP, somewhere in like the 280 to 300 range, which there's different drafts on NFBC. So some of this is getting him boosted up a little bit, but that's been in the last 10 days or so. So it's a fine shot. If he comes back at the end of April, you probably had a good shot on him if it's deep league, and most of those are. In a 12-team league, you probably just stash him on your IL if you have him. If you don't have an IL, just wait. We'll see how it goes as he's coming back, and it's certainly something that could flare up again. Somebody that we don't have to really talk about, but I'm just going. Well, I guess we can talk about him, but we're not going to see him anytime soon, and that is Spencer Schwellenbach. He had bone spurs in his right elbow removed. He's already on the 60-day IL. The Braves are optimistic he'll return at some point in 2026. That's not exactly what you want to hear from the organization, because usually they're the most optimistic. So we're not seeing him, right? Are you wasting even the IL spot on him?
No, not Schwellenbach now. He's Schwellenbach, Blake Snell, Pablo Lopez. I guess we'll talk about those guys. I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I had them all in my rankings. I had them all in tiers where I wasn't drafting them to begin with. So the fact that they're all hurt and Schwellenbach is, dealing with bone spurs in his elbow, and the Braves aren't really optimistic about this year. I'm not drafting Schwellenbach. I wasn't drafting him before. There's no way I'm drafting him now.
Yeah, I'm with you. No, thank you. Bryce Elder and Grant Holmes now have starting spots in the rotation. Are you interested in either of them, given that they have a starting spot?
I was pretty interested in Hurston Waldrop until he got injured. So
yes. That's another reason these two both have starting gigs pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think the Braves might want to go out and acquire a starter. That
would be my thought.
That would be, yeah. I mean, that's the names you're saying may lead me to believe they might need a starter. They should have been in on the Zach Gallen market. They should have been looking at that. I don't think I'm gonna be drafting either outside of NL only. Grant Holmes, it's a little bit more interesting, but he's also he's gonna be 30, and he's never really done anything that great. So NL only, and Bryce Elder is even going to be a struggle in NL only. I mean, he's Bryce Elder is at this point looks like a guy who is in contention of being one of the worst pitchers in baseball. and that's including the Rockies starters. So it's that's quite the claim to fame here. I mean, I don't think Bryce Elder really is going to get over. I mean, he might be under a 7.5 K per 9 and over a 3 walk per 9 which would roughly neutral luck would have him almost around a 4.7 ERA, which is awful. I mean, that's terrible. Not a good starter, right? So the fact that he's even like in contention to be their like number 4 or 5, that's bad. His ADP is at 700 overall, and at 700 I would still be a little bit weary of it. Yeah, so but Grant Holmes is, for a NL only, Grant Holmes is okay. I think Grant Holmes is probably like
he probably had a spot.
Yeah, he's roughly like a 9+ K per 9. Not great command. Probably around a 4.25 ERA type guy who could potentially throw 100 and maybe 30 innings. So for NL only, that's interesting. Whereas, like, he's also, in NL only, you might get lucky. Grant Holmes might get lucky, and in turn, you might get lucky with, like, if his walks don't come to haunt him, maybe he has like an under 4 ERA like he did last year. I mean, he had an under 4 ERA with good Ks last year. So Grant Holmes is kind of interesting for NL only, but in other leagues, he's more of a streamer.
Yeah, and in most standard leagues, he's going to be a streamer. Definitely a home start guy. He had a 2.93 ERA at home and a 5.51 on the road. Just start him at home. Just in general with streamers, that's a good rule. Lawrence Butler is also being held out until mid-spring. He's working his way back from a patellar tendon surgery in his knee last October. I don't think there's a whole lot to do here. It doesn't sound like he's necessarily going to miss a lot of time. I think maybe the biggest thing would be maybe Rooker gets positional eligibility. If he gets some time in the outfield. But that's really all I could think of here, because I don't think – I mean, would you be interested in Carlos Cortez or Colby Thomas at all?
No.
Yeah. So I think that's all we really have to talk about on that one. Yainer Díaz, who for some reason I always try and give an extra I in his name, Gray, after the N. I don't really know why. But anyways.
Yainer?
Yeah, I just try and do it. I just want to give him an extra eye.
He's a little bit more Yanni than another Jan. Like he's Yannier.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I'm going, Gray. He has a left foot sprain. He's behind schedule. It's not supposed to be serious. He's still catching, just not running at all. So maybe he starts the season at DH, or you're not going to get stolen bases really out of him in bunches either way. But what are your thoughts here on Yainer Díaz?
No thoughts. He seems fine.
Okay. Brett Baty, dealing with hamstring discomfort. He's going to be eased into spring training. Doesn't seem too serious, but it is a hamstring issue. Does Brett Baty have a job waiting when he comes back from the hamstring issue?
Well, he's got a platoon job for now. I'll say with like Yainer Díaz, Brett Baty, and Lawrence Butler, probably like the worst thing you can do at this point is overreact to like little injuries. Like if there's a major injury, they're gonna like the guy. My rankings will change, and guys will drop in rankings, and projections will change, and there'll be real news, like, with like Jordan Westburg, like there was like a partially torn UCL, he's missing April, like that's real news. Whereas like a guy with hamstring discomfort, or a guy who's a little bit behind schedule with a foot sprain, like that kind of stuff is, like that's pretty much like if you're overreacting to that in February, you're doing yourself more harm than good. I think with Brett Baty, you're probably doing yourself more harm than good by drafting him. So there's that too. I don't really know what his I think probably looking at, I want to say if you're really like optimistic, you're looking at 400-ish at bats, probably like low 400s, maybe if you're really optimistic, like 350 to 410 on the at bats for Brett Baty. He's not like he hasn't really done anything. I feel like we talk about Brett Baty, and in general, people are optimistic about Brett Baty more than he's really warranted so far in his career, because like he hasn't really done much that is like that incredible to warrant the amount that we talk about Brett Baty. I feel like, at least, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but if he's at like, if he's between 15 and 18 homer guy and hits 260, I mean, kind of right? I mean, he's it's okay. I mean, it's nothing great. I have him at 320 overall in the rankings. He's currently going at 280. So I'm like, a round or two behind ADP on him, but it's kind of negligible where I'm at with ADP versus my ranking. But still, I don't know. Does he have a job? Yes, but who cares? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not looking great, and I will say hamstring is one of those where I know they're saying it's minor, it's not a big thing, but it can just linger. It can sit there for the whole season and just kind of be a problem. And the fact that he's in a platoon / doesn't have a job isn't really helping his case. I would say the biggest thing is just third base is so ugly that you're starting to look at him. You're like, I mean, if he goes 27 260, that's solid, and that's because it's third base, and eventually it's just that's okay for the position. But yeah, I don't feel great about this either. And it was actually, I was looking at rankings, I was like, I can talk myself into having Baty somewhere in the top 15 third baseman, but after the injury, I think we're looking at 20 or after, and that's pretty bad at a very terrible position.
Yeah. I mean, he has in his favor, he does have the second base, third base thing that I was talking about with Rengifo, which is helpful in a deeper league if he has MI, NCI eligibility. It's something.
It is. It is something. It definitely does help for sure. Let's talk about Anthony Santander, who there is real injury news about because he had left labral surgery. He will be out 5 to 6 months. And this sounds like something he was dealing with at the end of the season and decided to deal with it now, or maybe it just didn't hurt enough to deal with, and now he aggravated it again. That means Nathan Lukes or Davis Schneider might get more looks. Are you interested in either of them outside of AL only?
No.
Okay.
No. I think the outfield right now for the Jays is Barger, Varsho, Jesús Sánchez, Nathan Lukes, and Davis Schneider are probably on the outside looking in. I think Nathan Lukes is at the back end of my top 500 for rankings, but it's more like, AL only, but barely.
Yeah. Do you like Jesús Sánchez, who should pretty much be in an everyday role now? And I guess we'll talk about him now because he got traded for Joey Loperfido in a trade where neither team liked their players, so they just decided to swap.
Yeah, I think actually Joey Loperfido, he was on the Astros, then he went to the Jays, and now he's back on the Astros. So the Astros were like, I feel like that's like they just didn't like what the Jays were doing with him. they weren't happy with how the Jays were treating him. So they were like, we're taking him back. I kind of like both of them for deep leagues, like Jesús Sánchez especially. So Jesús Sánchez was a guy who we both liked when we were talking about we were talking about my outfield rankings, and we were both saying how we liked him as a late flyer. He hits the ball hard, has speed and power, neither of which are tremendous, but he has both. And now with Santander is out for the season, basically, Jesús Sánchez should be hitting in the middle of the Jays lineup. Has probably a better bat than most people think. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what people think, but Jesús Sánchez is like decent for a deep league. Like, would I want him in a 12-team mixed league? No, not unless he's like hot and you're picking him up off of waivers. But for a 15-team mixed league or AL only, yeah, I absolutely am interested in Jesús Sánchez. I think he's probably, a little bit underrated. Right now, he's going ADP wise, he's going at 429 overall. That's free in any league. I'm interested, absolutely. Right now, I mean, he's going like right around Jeff McNeil. Like, who wants Jeff McNeil? That's awful. Why would
people apparently like Jeff McNeil, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah,
that's how good that park is, Gray. People are back in on Jeff McNeil.
Yeah, no, I'm not. So, I think I think Jesús Sánchez is actually kind of interesting. Low ceiling, not really something like. I don't really foresee a breakout necessarily, but there could be a little something there. And then since we were talking about him, Loperfido is probably in the Astros outfield. By the way, the Astros outfield, terrible, really bad, absolutely not good.
It's got to be the second worst outfield in the league, maybe the worst. Yeah. I think it's worse than Colorado's, which is. That's the only thing you can say that's decent in Colorado.
Yeah. No, it's bad. I would probably say the Cardinals are probably the worst.
Cardinals are bad. Pirates are pretty bad.
Yeah. The Pirates are pretty bad. But
I guess in like just they're gonna play every day type, like Brian Reynolds, Ryan O'Hearn are gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, the Pirates got Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz. They have. I would say. Yeah. No, I'm not Houston. I'm not saying that's like a point in their favor. No, it actually is. I would say that's better than like Joey Loperfido, Jake Myers, and Zack Cole for the Astros. I trust the Astros explicitly to be able to develop guys. They are very good about finding value where no one else thought there was. But that outfield they got to find stuff there that I don't see. I don't see anything there. I would be like, I wouldn't be happy if I were an Astros fan, and that was the outfield that I saw. Like, I think, right now on ADP, Jake Myers is going at 600 overall. Zack Cole is going at 617 overall, and Loperfido is going at 700 overall. So that gives you an idea of what other people think of the Astros outfield. Like, that's a pretty terrible outfield. Like,
yeah. Those are starters. I mean, those are guys with jobs. Those are the opening day guys. I mean, that's it. They really should trade Paredes for an outfielder. Or move Jose Altuve back to the outfield and let Paredes take over in the infield.
Yeah, let Paredes second. Oh my God, Paredes with second base eligibility. What? Come on, baby. Come on now.
Go.
Come on.
That's really the move. I feel like that's the best move. And I mean, let's just be honest. It's not like the defense matters at this point, anyways, for him. No. Just stick him in left field. Like, left field in Houston has to be the easiest place in all of baseball.
Defense in general is so stupid. Like, seriously, just hit the ball and let the guys run. Like, defense, I feel like is just trying to keep the man down. Like, that's defense. Defense is the man.
It's big business.
Stick it to the man.
All right, great. Moving on to a different situation here. Edwin, you say that MRI on his shoulder has revealed inflammation, maybe a slight impingement. Probably not going to be ready for opening day, but what they say is this is the best news they could have had in general.
That's the best news. It's like after what happened with Wander Franco, they're like, the best news is when a pitcher's shoulder's busted. That's the best news. they're so hurt that that's the most optimistic they can imagine in their most optimistic moment. Their absolutely glass is half full moment is, you said he has a shoulder impingement. That's great. Oh, so I would probably go I would say Clevenger, who I mentioned earlier, as a flyer for a middle reliever. Griffin Jacks is kind of interesting. I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I believe I have all the relievers projected in my top 500 who I believe are getting saves, and I think I have Griffin Jacks as the first guy, as the closer, and then it's like Uceta and Clevenger as the toss-up in like the 400s if you're like doing a flyer later on in a 15-team mixed league. But Griffin Jacks, I think Griffin Jacks is going to get the saves.
Yeah, I think so. And even if I thought it was Uceta, I don't anymore because of this. So I'm with you. And maybe even worth moving up Griffin Jacks because he is really good. Even if they Tampa Bay him and he doesn't get all the saves, it's still he's still a great pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Gray, I mentioned my WHARF draft, and there's a little bit of an apocalypse happening within my draft. I did draft Josh Hader, fully knowing he has bicep inflammation. He's likely to miss the start of the season. But what do you think about drafting Hader, and how much are you bumping up Bryan Abreu?
Actually, I don't mind drafting Hader. I would too. I think it's a little bit like, so far what we've heard with Hader hasn't been good, but it's been kind of vague. And he was throwing, I believe, like they said it was biceps inflammation, and then he was throwing the next day. So I'm not like 100% worried, but I would draft Bryan Abreu anyway because he's good in any league. Like I could see taking Bryan Abreu in a 12-team mixed league because I think Bryan Abreu is good and could end up with like 8 to 12 saves. And Josh Hader might miss a little bit of time, but I think Josh Hader's still like, I think he's going at a fairly good spot in drafts that like, I think Hader is a little bit underrated right now. Like he's going at 100 overall. I would draft him there. I mean, like why not? If you get 5 months of Josh Hader, you're going to get 30 saves and great ratios in Ks. I don't have any problem with Josh Hader, really. It stinks a little bit that he's got bicep inflammation or whatever, but I don't know. I don't feel like I'm as worried about Josh Hader as maybe I should be. I don't know. I feel kind of whatever on him. Bryan Abreu is a decent handcuff, though.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. That's why he's on my team. I was going to say I was going to move up Bryan Abreu 3 to 4 rounds based on ADP to make sure I got him, and he got taken 10 picks in front of me. So just know if you have Hader and you really want Abreu, you're going to have to make that adjustment. And I will say closers went off the board pretty aggressively in my league. But still, if you want Abreu, like you said, Gray, he's good. So people were already going to draft him, and people were already going to rank him high before this news. Joe Ryan, who I drafted, and before we even left the draft room, I found out had back inflammation. They said it's not too serious yet, but what are your thoughts on Joe Ryan? I know we both were in on him before this. Where are you at with him now?
Well, this is, I feel like this could be a little bit of a buying situation where right now his ADP has come down a little bit and people are a little bit concerned, but no one said anything about his shoulder or elbow. He's got back inflammation. Okay. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's February. I feel like Joe Ryan's a real quick for like a week or two. He's probably a buy until we see him get back on the mound and he looks better, and people are like, oh man, I shouldn't have lowered him in my rankings. I don't know. I feel like Joe Ryan right now is, if any, he's a hold or a buy at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's not like he's had some kind of back issue in the past where you're like, oh, it's getting, so that happened and it's gonna get worse. Like it's back inflammation. It was tight on a February day. That's not that big of a deal. I'm glad they're taking it cautious with him, and I'm with you. I think this might be a buy-in opportunity, and it should be something they can deal with, I would assume. I mean, they it's not anything pulled. There's nothing structurally wrong. Fine there. Merrill Kelly, mid back tightness as well, removed from throwing. I drafted him, and then as we went afterwards to grab food and drinks, I find out about Merrill Kelly. He was also on my WHARF team, is what I'm saying. What are your thoughts here on Merrill Kelly?
You had a heck of a time there for a couple hours after your draft, huh? Merrill Kelly is, I think he's fine. Mid back tightness again is, I think, okay for, as far as of Monday, February 23rd, when we're recording this, I'm fine with Merrill Kelly as of right now until we hear something else, but I think he's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I guess I have to be for my sake of my WHARF team. He's kind of one of those guys where it's not overly exciting to draft him anyways, so this may just be, you can actually just wait on him and grab him even later than he was already going. Chandler Simpson dealing with hamstring issue. Rays are being cautious with him. Again, it's a hamstring, and this is a guy whose speed is his entire value. Well, maybe average as well, but you're drafting him for his speed. Any thoughts here on Chandler Simpson?
No, I think it's early enough still. Again, it's February. I think it's fine. I'm not. It could turn into something more serious where I become more concerned. But as of right this moment, it's fine. He's got a hammy. It's okay.
All right, let's talk about some signings, Gray. Nick Castellanos over to San Diego. Let's talk about this as just a quick break from the doom and gloom of injuries. How about the doom and gloom of Nick Castellanos going to San Diego?
The doom and gloom of Nick Castellanos getting at bats for anyone. I saw he was playing first base, which is a real hoot. That was a hoot. I did not think Castellanos was going to be able to play first. He looked okay. It's not terrible. All things considered, I don't understand where, I don't know why they got him. I guess to, maybe platoon in a couple different spots in the lineup. Maybe I don't really know. I'm not exactly sure why the Padres would go out and get Castellanos. I don't know. He's cooked basically. I think he's been cooked for 2 years now. I guess maybe they want to use him as a platoon bat with Gavin Sheets at first base. I guess that's what they're thinking. I can think of better platoon guys at first base than Nick Castellanos, but I don't know. He's irrelevant really for most of our purposes. I think he's going at 450 overall. I think I have him ranked around there too. I'm not interested really.
Yeah, and they also are starting Miguel Andujar to do a DH, and that could just blow up as it has every time Miguel Andujar plays. So maybe a little insurance on that side.
There's also Miguel Andujar blows up as he's known to do, and your replacement is Nick Castellanos. So it's maybe we just go without a DH.
Can we just let the pitcher hit again? Maybe teams will take mercy on us.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
It works out for the Dodgers when they let Ohtani hit and he pitches. Seems fine.
Yeah. I don't think it's good.
No, probably not, Gray. Let's talk about another signing, and that is Rhys Hoskins going to the Guardians in a full Cleveland Guardians move. What are your thoughts here on Rhys Hoskins, who was fairly disappointing last year, but in his return from injury, do you like him anymore this season?
I wouldn't be shocked if Rhys Hoskins puts together like a decent AL only type year. It wouldn't shock me if he had like, say middle of the order, 430 at bats, 17 to 22 homers, 55 runs and RBIs kind of deal with hitting 230. I mean, it's not good for mixed league, but for AL only, sure, it's fine. I don't think I would have preferred if the Guardians would have went with CJ Kafus. I think I'm saying that right. Probably not though. if my history
track record means anything,
right? If my history is at all indicative of my present, probably not. I'm probably not saying it right, but I would have preferred if they went with the guy whose name I mispronounced, Kafus. I would have preferred him over Hoskins. Now, I don't, I guess they're going Hoskins until he gets injured. I don't know. The Guardians are a bizarre organization because it's like they basically, you can write them down for 88 wins, like neutral luck, and then somehow they don't build on that at all, and they squeak into the playoffs and get eliminated because they don't have any offense. They refuse to sign free agents as hitters. I don't know. Anyway, Hoskins is not great, but for AL only, it wouldn't shock me if he has some value.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny, like we always thought of Rhys Hoskins as this big power guy, and he did hit, 25 to 30 home runs pretty much every year. He had his 34 home run season in there. He never really hit the ball amazingly hard at any point, but he was, in the right parks, and he did okay. And we'll see if he can do that for Cleveland. But I'm with you. I think there's probably some AL only value there. Probably not for mixed leagues in general. Let's move over to some starting pitcher updates, Gray. These are guys we kind of already knew were injured, but let's just talk about them and where you're thinking about them for drafting. Blake Snell has yet to take part in any mound work. He's not clear if he'll be ready for opening day. I can just take a wild guess and say he's not going to be. What are your thoughts here on Blake Snell?
Every Dodger pitcher is basically, we're giving you 120 innings. Do you want them from April through August, or May through September, or July through October? You can decide, but that's how many you're getting. 120 innings. That's it. That's what you got when you want them. And then, Blake Snell says, I'll take mine. I mean, I'd like to pitch in the playoffs. Okay, you'll come back in July. Get out of the office. Go. We'll see you in July, man. I wasn't drafting Blake Snell before this news. I'm absolutely not drafting him now. I was saying, I said in my in my rankings that not to go near Blake Snell. Unfortunately, I kind of wish it would have been he would have held back on this news and for a little bit longer, so people would have continued to draft him when they were, but I wasn't drafting him where he was going, so I don't know. Whatever. He's off. He's been off the board for me. Him and Glass now are off the board. I like Sheehan. Yamamoto's off the board. And Ohtani's, he's going 1-1. So that is what it is. I mean,
Yeah, kind of how I wanted you to fall into, Gray.
Yeah.
Next up is Zack Wheeler. He's throwing 120 feet from flat ground off of flat ground. He won't be ready for opening day. There's no real clear timetable yet for his return. Are you drafting Zack Wheeler, and where are you drafting? We pretty much talked about this not too long ago. So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, I'm not drafting Zack Wheeler either. I think he's probably. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him around the All-Star break, right after the All-Star break. Probably feels about right. But I'm not drafting him.
Yeah, I mean, no clear timetable means we're probably looking All-Star break or beyond. Because if it was before that, they'd tell us. They'd let us know. Gerrit Cole throwing live batting practice on Friday, February 27th. Looking at a late May, early June return. Where does he fit? Are you willing to grab Gerrit Cole?
Yeah, I mean, Gerrit Cole is actually one of the few that I would draft, but it's like probably I would need an IL slot, and it's also because of the price. He's going at like 250 overall. So if I'm in a 12-team mixed league, you're taking guys at 250 overall who you're going to drop in a week anyway. So take Gerrit Cole, put him on your IL slot, and then pick someone up off a waiver. So I'm fine with Gerrit Cole as a flyer in your IL slot if you have an IL slot.
Yeah. Somebody I have long, just love to draft Gray, but Carlos Rodón has thrown 5 to 6 bullpen sessions after getting 2 PRP injections in his elbow that he had surgery on. He is looking at a late April, early May return currently. What are your thoughts here on Carlos Rodón?
Yeah, no, Carlos Rodon's off the board for me. I don't buy. I don't buy his timetable, and also his price is too rich for my blood. He's going inside the top 200. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm probably out as well. If he falls to 250, I could probably get on board, but inside the top 200 is just not worth it to me. Jared Jones, who had UCL reconstruction last May, he supposedly will be ready to return when his 60-day IL is up. Obviously, that's a long ways out to say that he's going to be ready, Gray. But what are your thoughts here on Jared Jones?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have an IL slot and it's a deep enough league, but I mean, he's going at like 550 overall. So, I mean, he feels to me like a guy who in like 12-team mixed leagues and like RCL leagues, he's going to be basically on waivers. And so you could do an IL slot, or if like someone gets injured on your team and you need that IL slot, I could see probably dropping Jared Jones. Like I don't think we're seeing him until the All-Star break either.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 2 IL slots, you can maybe take one of these guys, but if you fill them both up, you're going to end up dropping one or both of them because you're going to get injuries by the time they come back. So take your pick on whichever one falls to the right place for you to some extent and grab them. Next up is Shane McClanahan. He threw live batting practice on February 21st, which is Saturday before we are recording this, Gray. Supposedly he is going to be ready for regular season. I will believe that when I see that, but what are your thoughts on Shane O'Mac?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of interested if he's going at like 220 overall. I could see the flyer on him because every time he's pitched, he has been good. So nothing really has changed for me since our second starters podcast when I think I talked about Shane McClanahan. I like him. I would take a flyer on him. I don't expect him to be healthy on opening day, so you might need an IL slot, but I would take the flyer.
Yeah, I'm willing to take him. I think his current ADP around 200 is a little bit, or 220, I think, is maybe a little too far up there. There's still guys I want in that area, generally speaking. So I would say, again, 250 or after. I have no problem with any of these injury guys, but I just don't know that it's worth it, especially since McClanahan has such a terrible track record of staying on the field. Another guy who has a terrible track record of staying on the field in the last few years is Shane Bieber. He is throwing from 120 feet. We already know he won't be ready for opening day, and he'll start on the IL. Are you willing to draft him and wait for him to come around?
No, I removed him from my rankings. I anticipate him not being able to put any meaningful innings out there to this year. I unfortunately, I liked him up until this latest news about his forearm. I mean, he had a forearm issue at the end of last year, and it's still bothering him. after a full off season. So I expect nothing from Shane Bieber this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we're probably in the same kind of camp in regards to him as you are with like Jared Jones. Like maybe they return in May, June, maybe they don't, or probably not even Jared Jones, because Jared Jones is returning from something from much longer ago. But yeah, I mean, I like Bieber in a deep enough league. I think it's worth it if you have enough IL spots to stash, but in a standard 12 team, definitely not. Even in a normal 15, it's probably pretty borderline if you don't have a bunch of IL opportunities. A piece of news that really doesn't have much to say about the player is Pablo Lopez. Unfortunately, he is done for the season, going for TJ. That's unfortunate, Gray, as a lot of people really liked him this season. Anybody in Minnesota that's getting an opportunity that you're liking here?
No. Someone asked about Zebby Matthews. I do have Zebby. I have him ranked and projected in my top 500, but I don't really think, I don't know. I don't really think any of these guys are going to be mixed league. I mean, obviously AL only, of course, but in mixed leagues, Zebby Matthews or Taj Bradley or Simeon Woods Richardson, I don't know. I feel like all of them are kind of iffy unless they look good. And then at that point, you pick them up. Like with Zebby Matthews, for instance, I don't see drafting him. But if he comes out of the gate and looks good in April, then sure. Okay, then that's interesting. But, I mean, he's pitched almost 120 career innings and has a 5.92 ERA. Like, not great, man. I mean, he can turn that around, obviously, but I'm not interested out of the gate. Same with Taj Bradley. I feel like the same way, and Simeon Woods Richardson, exactly the same. I feel the same way about all of them, really. Like, if they look good in April, then yeah, I mean, we could be doing a podcast in April and talking about how good Taj Bradley looks and people should pick him up. Like, that's possible. But drafting him right now in a mixed league, I mean, if it's a deep enough 15-team league and you have like a draft and hold, then sure. But I mean, these guys are going after 450 overall. So it's not like you're drafting him in most leagues.
Yeah, I would say I think Simeon Wood Richardson is probably the least exciting, but probably the most consistent of the group. I actually kind of like Zebby Matthews at his current price just because he does have nasty stuff. I don't know if Taj Bradley still has it anymore. We haven't really seen it from him in a little bit. So I am concerned, even though he's going to be 25 or maybe he's not even 25 yet. Like, I just don't know that Taj Bradley is like the guy we remember from prospects and in the stuff that he had early in his career. I don't think that's there anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing with Taj Bradley is like, everyone was like, oh, he's the top prospect, yada. And then it's like, yeah, but he has almost 400 career innings and a 4.86 ERA. Like, when's he gonna do something, man? I mean, one love, but he needs to do something.
Yeah, it just hasn't quite translated at the high levels. He did look amazing when he was coming up. Again, it just sometimes it doesn't work out. He's also had his some injuries along the way, so. Regardless of what happened, we're not really in on Taj Bradley Gray. It sounds like probably not even for AL only, if we're being honest. We're pretty much done here, Gray. We've gone an hour and a half. Just a quick moment of silence for Chris Bryant's back.
Oh, poor Chris.
May it join all the other careers that have been derailed by injury. Is a sad thing to see. At least he's getting paid to be on the IL.
I'll see you in Valhalla, my man.
All right, great. That's going to do it for us this week. If anybody has questions, you can find us on X. I am at Razbeaton. Gray owns the at Razball account, of course. You can find us on youtube.com/RazballFantasy, or you can find us on Razball.com in the comment sections. I will talk to you later, Gray. Good luck in any drafts you got this week. I know we got a couple.
Late.
All right, see you.